How much do you know about the intriguing world of crime and illicit wealth? How much more do you know about women who have left indelible footprints in the sands of crime and extravagant wealth? Here are the richest female criminals of all time who dared to be infamous by defying societal norms and amassing fortunes through illegal means, leaving a trail of controversy. From drug empires to bootlegging syndicates to organized crime syndicates, their stories will captivate and astonish you. Ma Barker, also known as Kate Barker, was born in Missouri in 1873. Her life took a turn when she saw the famous outlaw Jesse James and his gang riding through her town. That sparked her desire for adventure and a life outside the law. But Ma faced challenges. Her father died when she was young, and her stepfather, a lawman, treated her and her siblings unfairly. In 1892, she married George Barker, a quiet and unambitious man. They struggled financially and moved around Missouri and Oklahoma. In Tulsa, Ma became the mastermind of her son's criminal activities. The FBI even called her the most dangerous criminal brain. She didn't discourage her sons from a life of crime, and when one of them caused a tragic accident, Ma defended them fiercely. In December 1932, the Barker gang executed a daring heist on the Third Northwestern National Bank in Minneapolis. However, the robbery escalated into a violent shootout with the police, resulting in the deaths of one officer and the other wounded. Despite the bloodshed, the gang managed to evade capture, establishing itself as one of the most feared criminal organizations in the United States. The Barker gang became experts at kidnapping for big bucks. They successfully grabbed two local businessmen, William Ham and Edward Bremer, and cashed in on ransoms of $100,000 and $200,000. While it's not clear if Ma was directly involved, she enjoyed the rewards. It's estimated her net worth was around $70 million. She splurged on fancy clothes and furniture and accepted luxurious gifts from her sons like fur coats and jewelry. While the country suffered in the economic depression, Ma dined in posh restaurants and partied in fancy clubs. Her dreams of wealth were finally coming true thanks to her son's criminal deeds. The law finally caught up with Arthur Barker in Chicago. The FBI found a clue in his apartment, a map of XDF, Florida, and a burned letter mentioning a monstrous alligator called Old Joe. The FBI followed the lead and discovered Ma and Fred hiding out in a cozy cottage near Lake Weir. What made matters worse for the Barkers was that they wrote to Arthur, bragging about their thrilling adventures. Little did they know that this unique information would lead the G-men straight to their doorstep. In the early morning hours of January 16, 1955, the FBI cordoned off the Barker hideout, demanding the surrender of Ma and Fred. However, instead of compliance, Fred defiantly thrust a machine gun out of the window. Thus ensued a harrowing 4-hour shootout, eventually etching its place in FBI history as the longest in their annals. In the tragic denouement, all of Ma Barker's sons met violent ends. Ma herself, along with Fred, fell victim to the relentless gunfire during the standoff. Arthur, while attempting an escape from Alcatraz, faced a similar fate. Herman, cornered by Kansas police, tragically chose to take his own life. The fourth brother, Lloyd, led a solitary existence, spending a staggering 25 years behind the cold, unforgiving bars of Leavenworth Prison. Following his release, an even greater tragedy befell him as he was fatally struck down by his wife, Rosetta Coutolo. Fate handed the gold mine to Rosetta Coutolo, who was just trying to stand in for her brother, Rafaela Coutolo, serving 30 years in prison for his notoriety. She, however, shared in his gene pool of becoming a notorious female criminal whose mysterious life intrigued and baffled investigators for decades. Rosetta's story begins in the heart of Naples, Italy, a city notorious for its organized crime syndicates. Born into a family deeply entangled in the criminal underworld, Rosetta would rise to become the undisputed queen pin of the Camorra, the Neapolitan mafia. With a shrewd mind and a ruthless demeanor, Rosetta established herself as a force to be reckoned with. She navigated the treacherous underworld, forging alliances and eliminating rivals, all while building a criminal empire that spanned drugs, extortion, and money laundering. But what truly set Rosetta apart was her ability to wield power discreetly, operating from the shadows while her male counterparts took center stage. Her calculated and mysterious persona only added to the allure surrounding her. While precise figures are hard to come by, experts estimate Rosetta Coutolo's net worth at its peak to be in the realm of millions of dollars, with her residency in the 16th century grand masterpiece, the Mediseo Castle, which had 365 rooms. It was from this abode her criminal empire spanned vast territories, with a web of connections reaching far beyond the borders of Italy. The profits from drug trafficking, illegal gambling dens, and extortion rackets flowed into her coffers, elevating her status to that of an untouchable queen pin. With immense wealth at her disposal, Rosetta lived a life of opulence and excess, surrounded by luxury and protected by her loyal enforcers. However, as the saying goes, the higher they rise, the harder they fall. Rosetta Coutolo's reign eventually came crashing down. She was soon and always on the run. Once the police raided where she was in charge of a meeting. Coutolo, however, managed to escape in a car, hiding under a rug. The neighborhood priest helped her bypass checkpoints, and after that, she stayed hidden for years and controlled operations from different safe houses. The once untouchable Queen Pin found herself facing mounting legal troubles and intense law enforcement scrutiny. The weight of her crimes and the empire she had built threatened to consume her. After running for over 10 years since 1981 when her castle was raided, the Queen Pin surrendered in 1993 when she suddenly appeared at the entrance to the police station saying, "I'm tired of running." Today, Rosetta Coutolo's name lives on as a symbol of power, mystery, and female criminality. Despite her ultimate downfall, Rosetta Coutolo's impact on organized crime cannot be ignored. She shattered gender norms and carved a path for other women to rise within criminal hierarchies. Sandra Avila Beltran. Sandra Avila Beltran, known as the Queen of the Pacific, commanded respect and fear in equal measure. Her story and the tragedies which claimed the lives of her first husband, second husband, and brother provide a glimpse into the dark world she inhabited. Avila Beltran, a woman who not only survived, but thrived amidst the highest ranks of the Mexican drug cartel. Based on her extravagant social media posts, it's estimated her wealth is roughly $15 million. Sandra's infamy as the Queen of the Pacific came from her alleged role in organizing a fleet of tuna boats, smuggling enormous quantities of cocaine from Mexico's Pacific coast to the United States, the world's largest cocaine market. This criminal mastermind lived a life of luxury, carrying suitcases filled with millions of dollars in crisp $100 bills. People say she even knew about a staggering $100 million bribe offered to a Mexican president. Money, power, and influence intertwined in a web of darkness that suited her taste so well. But how did she gain access to this treacherous underworld? Sandra was born into narco royalty, with her family deeply connected to the Guadalajara cartel. From a young age, she witnessed the extravagant lifestyle and piles of money associated with the drug trade. She initially pursued a career in journalism, but her life took a drastic turn when she entered the drug underworld. With her charismatic personality, impressive driving skills, and sharpshooting abilities, Sandra quickly rose to fame. What's fascinating is that Sandra never indulged in cocaine herself, believing that doing so would diminish the respect she commanded from her male counterparts. She was determined to gain respect and establish herself as a force to be reckoned with. She captivated cartel leaders, dated influential figures, and even commanded a fleet of 30 cars. However, her reign of power was not without its risks and setbacks. Sandra's luck took a turn for the worse when her son was kidnapped, leading to intensified police scrutiny and her becoming a most wanted criminal. Forced into a life on the run, Sandra experienced the harsh realities of being a fugitive, yet she found solace in the adrenaline rush of her dangerous escapades, relishing the thrill of outsmarting her pursuers. During her time on the run, Sandra Avila Beltran became a legend in her own right, immortalized by a popular narco corrido song called "Party in the Mountains." But fame comes with a price, as her anonymity was shattered and she faced numerous assassination attempts. One particular ambush left her partner dead, and she narrowly escaped with her. Eventually, Sandra's life as a fugitive came to an end when she was arrested alongside her new partner, Juan Diego Espinoza, a major cocaine dealer. She was relieved to be captured, understanding that the power of money could only protect her for so long. She's been released and is focused on spending the remaining days of her life lavishly. Maria Licciardi. In the heart of Naples, where the streets whisper secrets and danger lurks in the shadows, one woman reigned as the undisputed boss of the Licciardi clan. Her name is Maria Licciardi, aka La Madrina, just like another woman we'll see later in this video. She was a legendary figure in the criminal clan, and with her diminutive height and steely charisma, she commanded respect and fear from her fellow Camorristi. Born and raised in the heartland of the Licciardi clan, Maria inherited a legacy of crime. Her family was deeply entrenched in the Camorra, and she was destined to follow in their footsteps. Her brothers, Pietro and Vincenzo, and her husband, Antonio Tegami, were all Camorristi, but it was Maria who would rise to power and become the first female boss of the Licciardi clan. When her male relatives were arrested, Maria stepped up and took control. She united the fragmented Camorra clans under the banner of the Secondigliano Alliance, expanding their control over lucrative rackets like drugs, cigarettes, protection, and prostitution. Maria played a pivotal role in the city's drug trade, orchestrating deals and expanding their market. But it was her involvement in the prostitution trade that marked a significant shift. Breaking Camora's code of conduct, Maria allowed the exploitation of young girls, fueling criminal activity and ensuring their loyalty through addiction and fear. Maria Licciardi was a woman of contradictions. While she shunned the limelight and maintained a clean record, she was known for her ruthless intelligence and practical approach to managing the criminal empire. She had a net worth of over £500 million. She drew inspiration from the likes of crime bosses like Rosetta Coutolo, who we've seen in this video. Under her leadership, the Licciardi clan thrived, gaining the goodwill of the local community through occasional acts of charity. In a place plagued by unemployment and poverty, the clan provided employment and stability, making them a powerful force in Secondigliano. But every reign has its downfall. A disagreement over a consignment of heroin ignited a violent gang war, leading to public outrage and a massive police crackdown. Maria Licciardi became a target of investigations, and her enemies sought to take her down. As the police closed in, Maria went into hiding, earning the moniker the Scarlet Pimpernel of Italy. For 2 years, she evaded capture, ordering murders and waging war with rival clans. She even bombed a prosecutor's office in a desperate attempt to halt the investigations against her clan. The police made countless efforts to catch Licciardi, but she always managed to slip through their fingers. Her network of protection and cunning tactics kept her one step ahead. Finally, on a fateful day, Maria Licciardi's luck ran out. In a daring operation, the Naples police apprehended her while she traveled with an accomplice. The woman who had eluded them for so long was finally in their custody. Today, Maria Licciardi may be behind bars, but her influence still looms large. Prisons can't contain the power and reach of the Camorra. As the clan's undisputed boss, she continues to command from within. Her net worth may remain undisclosed, but her legacy of power and infamy endures. Stephanie St. Clair. Moving over to the U.S. in the early years of the 20th century, amidst the bustling city of New York, a mysterious and formidable figure emerged. Her name was Stephanie St. Clair, but she was known by many names: Queenie, Madam Queen, and the Queen of the Policy Rackets. Forbes and Business Insiders report her net worth surpassed $15 million, according to a recent study. Stephanie St. Clair's origins are shrouded in mystery. Born on December 24, 1897, on the French island of Guadeloupe, she arrived in the United States at a young age, sailing on a steamer in 1911. However, there are pretty few discrepancies surrounding her age and the details of her journey, which only add to the enigma surrounding her. With her sights set on the vibrant African-American community of Harlem, Stephanie quickly established herself as a force to be reckoned with. She became a leader of the local gang called the 40 Thieves, engaging in extortion and theft rackets. But it was her venture into the numbers racket, a lottery tailored for the African-American community, that catapulted her into immense wealth and power. Stephanie's numbers racket thrived, making her a wealthy woman, yet it also made her a target. As the era of prohibition came to an end, mobsters like Dutch Schultz sought to capitalize on new criminal enterprises, leading to a fierce battle for control over the numbers rackets in Harlem. Stephanie St. Clair was described as arrogant, sophisticated, and educated. She possessed a sharp tongue and a fierce temper, which she directed at her rivals, the police, and even white-owned businesses that encroached upon her territory. She said once, "I don't understand how these police, who are supposed to be the protection of the people, can make raids for so-called policy slips when these same men are participants of the game themselves." Violent clashes erupted as she fought to maintain her hold over the numbers rackets. And despite her efforts to resist, Stephanie and her loyal lieutenant, Ellsworth "Bumpy" Johnson, found themselves losing control of the numbers rackets to the likes of Dutch Schultz and the powerful Luciano crime family. Realizing the futility of their fight, Stephanie eventually handed over her organization to her rivals. Stephanie St. Clair married Sufi Abdul Hamid, the leader of an Islamic Buddhist cult. He was sort of a con man who took on many identities, but he could never hide his anti-Semitic attitude. Their relationship was tumultuous, marked by Hamid's questionable claims and criminal activities. Stephanie, however, remained focused on advocating for civil and economic rights for African Americans. A tragic turn of events unfolded when Hamid was shot, and Stephanie was charged with the crime. During the sensational trial that followed, Stephanie's lawyer uncovered the truth behind Hamid's identity and exposed his deception, which I'd say was quite evident, but not to the authorities. Despite maintaining her innocence, Stephanie St. Clair was convicted of assault and sentenced to prison. After her release, she continued her fight for the rights of African Americans, but steered clear of criminal enterprises. Her influence waned after the death of Bumpy Johnson in 1968, and Stephanie herself passed away 18 months later. Thompson. Chacon Thompson is a name that still echoes through the annals of criminal history. Born into a world of chaos and temptation, Chacon Thompson chose a treacherous path that led her to the pinnacle of power and wealth. But what price did she pay for her ill-gotten fortune? Chacon Thompson's story begins in the mean streets of Los Angeles, where she grew up amidst poverty and adversity. Her family became homeless when she was 8. She left to stay with her grandparents and returned when she was 14. Seeking an escape from the harsh realities of her surroundings, she found solace in the embrace of a dangerous world, the world of drugs. With a cunning mind and a relentless drive, Chacon rose through the ranks of the drug trade, quickly establishing herself as a formidable player. Her organization, known as the Queen Pin, controlled a vast empire fueled by the illicit trade of crack cocaine. As Queen Pin, Chacon held court over a network of dealers and enforcers, manipulating the streets like a puppet master. Her reputation grew, shrouded in mystery, and whispered tales of her ruthlessness. The spoils of her criminal enterprise were immense. Chacon reveled in a life of luxury, surrounded by luxury cars, designer clothes, and extravagant mansions. But the true extent of her wealth remained a closely guarded secret. Chacon's flamboyance, however, was not without its challenges. Law enforcement agencies closed in on her criminal activities, determined to bring her empire crashing down. A game of cat and mouse ensued, as Chacon evaded capture time and time again. But as the saying goes, pride comes before a fall. Chacon's overconfidence and a fateful betrayal within her ranks eventually led to her undoing. In 1993, she was arrested at her son's 6th grade ceremony and faced the full weight of the justice system. Behind prison walls, Chacon confronted the consequences of her actions. It was within those confines that she found redemption, reflecting on the havoc she had wreaked upon her community. Determined to turn her life around, she became a Christian advocate for change, dedicating herself to preventing others from following the destructive path she once walked. Now you may wonder, what was the net worth of this once notorious criminal? While the exact figure remains a mystery, it is believed to have reached staggering heights, measured in millions of dollars. Today, she is estimated to be worth $10 million. Yet the true cost of her wealth was immeasurable, a toll paid in shattered lives and lost souls. Her story is a cautionary tale, one to reminisce on circumstances that could bring out the best or worst in people. Rafaela Deltario. A name with many tales of mystery, suspense, and unimaginable wealth. Rafaela Deltario was born into a notorious Italian crime family. She inherited a legacy of power and influence, but she was no ordinary mobster. With an aura that could cause men to do her every bidding, no questions asked, and an insatiable hunger for control, she carved her path through the treacherous landscape of criminality. From a young age, Rafaela displayed a cunning intellect and an uncanny ability to outmaneuver her rivals. She swiftly climbed the ranks, and her reputation as a master manipulator and a force to be reckoned with grew with each passing day. With an iron fist, Rafaela controlled a vast criminal empire that spanned continents. From illicit arms deals to drug trafficking, her reach extended far and wide. She amassed unimaginable wealth, surrounding herself with the trappings of luxury, a show of her unparalleled success. But behind her icy gaze and stoic demeanor lay a web of secrets that few dared to uncover. Rafaela's true motives and the depths of her power remained shrouded in mystery. Her ability to elude law enforcement and rival syndicates only added to her mystique. In a world where loyalty is fragile and betrayal lurks at every corner, Rafaela danced on the razor's edge. She faced threats from within her ranks and constant attempts on her life, yet she emerged unscathed, leaving her enemies in awe and her allies in fear. Every empire crumbles, do they? Well, Rafaela's empire too had a fair share of challenges. In a daring turn of events, her web of deceit unraveled and her empire began to crumble. The authorities closed in, determined to bring her reign to an end. Did they succeed? She was arrested in 2012 alongside 2 of her daughters. Caterina and Costanza were having a joyride in the new car gift from Caterina's boyfriend. Over £10 million worth of luxurious cars and properties were confiscated during the operation. Authorities revealed that Deltario and her family frequently jetted off to Monte Carlo, indulging in lavish shopping sprees using their illicit riches. I know you'd probably be wondering what Rafaela's net worth was. Estimates suggest it soared into the billions. The vast wealth she accumulated was a testament to her ruthless ambition and was evident in the frivolous spending she undertook. Rafaela Deltario's story is one that makes power alluring, backed with the price one must pay to attain it. Just as we've peeled back the layers of her mysterious life, we discover the fragile balance between wealth, danger, and the unquenchable thirst for control. But her name remains daunting for years to come. Gertrude Lithgow. Let's talk a bit about Gertrude Lithgow. Having been born with a wooden spoon into the underbelly of society, Gertrude Lithgow was destined for a life of infamy. With a past veiled in obscurity, she emerged as a figure of intrigue. Her origins remain clouded in mystery, and little is known about her early life, but whispers in the underworld suggest a turbulent childhood that molded her into the formidable figure she would become. From the depths of despair, she clawed her way to the top from the Bahamas, where she was originally said to be from, to the United States. She was also rumored to be a gypsy, but this hasn't been refuted nor proven. With each daring move, Gertrude solidified her grip on the criminal underworld. She constructed an empire of ill-gotten wealth, weaving a complex web of deceit and intrigue. The allure of power, coupled with her insatiable hunger for more, drove her relentless pursuit of dominance. She became a booming rum goddess engaged in bootlegging and made a lot of money defying the Prohibition period from the Bahamas to the United States in search of markets for her merchandise. She received the nickname Cleo from the famous Cleopatra for having some resemblance in attitude and physical appearance. She found buyers wary of her gender in the mostly male business, but overcame any skepticism with the quality of goods, pricing, and smarts. Soon, she became a formidable figure in the liquor supply business, coming to be known as the Bahama Queen. During Gertrude's reign in the Bahamas, her story appeared in syndicated columns in newspapers and magazines. She also became so prominent that she graced newspapers such as the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, and the Los Angeles Times. She was indeed a celebrity figure, and it is said the British flag dipped in salute when, for the last time, she sailed from the Bahamas. Behind Gertrude's cool exterior lay a shroud of secrecy. Few knew the depths of her motives or the extent of her connections. Her inscrutable persona fascinated those around her, leaving them wondering what dark secrets she held close to her chest. Her net worth was probably another thing she held so dearly that no established estimate could be determined. However, I believe it would run in the billions given her mastery of the criminal arts and her ability to exploit every opportunity. In a world where trust is a luxury and danger lurks freely and aimlessly at every turn, waiting for someone daring enough to take hold of them, Gertrude Lithgow danced on the precipice of destruction for going against public laws. Her story ignites passion as well as caution. Thelma Wright. Thelma Wright, an ordinary Catholic girl, was living a seemingly normal life until she crossed paths with Jackie Wright, a wholesale heroin supplier deeply rooted in Philadelphia's drug scene. Jackie met Thelma in 1977, and they were wedded for a couple of years. Their whirlwind romance led them into a dangerous world where power and violence held sway, but fate had darker plans in store for them. Jackie's association with the notorious Black Mafia, a feared street gang known for its ruthless acts, elevated him to a position of power and fear. However, this made him a target for those who sought to bring him down. In 1986, tragedy struck when Jackie was found dead, wrapped in a rug, a bullet piercing his head. Thelma was thrust into the gloom, a widow left to protect her 4-year-old son. Determined to survive, Thelma took control of her husband's empire, becoming the primary supplier of heroin and cocaine in Philadelphia. Her rise to power was swift, and at the height of her reign, she amassed a fortune estimated at over $400,000 per month. But her journey was far from glamorous. Thelma's life teetered on the edge of danger. In 1991, a deadly shootout at a Philadelphia nightclub shattered the illusion of invincibility. Caught in the crossfire, she narrowly escaped with her life, forever marked by the violence that surrounded her. A turning point came when one of her major clients was arrested for smuggling cocaine through the postal service. Thelma recognized the warning signs and made a pivotal decision to leave the drug trade behind before it consumed her. She chose a path of redemption and self-discovery. For over a decade, Thelma lived in the shadows, keeping a low profile and avoiding the allure of her former life. Eventually, she found the courage to share her story, publishing her memoir, With Eyes from Both Sides, Living My Life in and Out of the Game. Today, she is a motivational speaker, using her experiences to inspire others to steer clear of the dangerous path she once walked. Thelma Wright's journey serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that the pursuit of power and wealth in the criminal underworld comes at a grave cost. Her story echoes through the corridors of time, a testament to the darkness that can consume even the most determined souls. In addition to it all, Thelma's ongoing total assets remain at around $1 to $5 million. As long as the world of crime, where fortunes rise and fall, one thing remains certain: Thelma Wright's story will forever be etched in the annals of mystery, and we are left to ponder the choices we make and the paths we tread. Marjorie Dadiana Chacon Russell. Marlori Dadiana Chacon Russell, the notorious Queen of the South. A drug trafficker and money launderer, her empire spanned multiple countries, and her influence knew no bounds. She lived a life of opulence and power, rubbing shoulders with politicians and high society. Her illicit empire included hotels, a national lottery, and even a high-end clothing store. But behind the glamour was crime, and Mossack Fonseca, the infamous law firm, played a role in her kingdom of crime. Marlori ruled over one of Central America's most powerful drug trafficking rings. She was a force to be reckoned with, responsible for smuggling vast quantities of cocaine from Guatemala into the United States. It was her mastery of money laundering that truly set her apart. Month after month, she skillfully processed millions of dollars in illicit funds, leaving no trace of her nefarious activities. Seeking to obscure the source of her vast wealth, Chacon devised a clever plan. She launched Bingoton Millonario, a seemingly innocent, privately run lottery. Little did the world know that behind the scenes, Chacon was funneling her dirty money through this elaborate facade. With such immense operations, it was only a matter of time before Chacon attracted the attention of the United States Department of Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control. They labeled her and her organization as Specially Designated Narcotics Traffickers, or SDNTs. Her net worth, a humongous fortune estimated to be millions of dollars, as she raked in over $10 million monthly. This designation, enacted under the Kingpin Act, unleashed a series of events that would ultimately seal Chacon's fate. The United States sought to disrupt her criminal activities and cut off her access to the international financial system. In a surprising turn of events, Chacon chose to collaborate with the DEA and the U.S. Attorney's Office as early as 2012. Her guilty plea in December 2014 on drug trafficking charges marked a pivotal moment in her journey. By giving up her right to appeal her sentence, she decided to be an informant. Chacon faced a daunting sentence of 12 years behind bars. However, her value as an informant led to a significant reduction. In 2019, a federal judge lowered her sentence to a mere 5 years, rewarding her cooperation in cases involving notorious cartels like Los Zetas and Sinaloa. That was her saving grace from prolonged incarceration. It was in February 2019 when Chacon tasted freedom once more. The doors of her prison cell swung open, granting her a second chance at life. Months later, the U.S. government lifted the sanctions against her, signifying the end of her chapter as a designated narcotics trafficker. Griselda Blanco. The infamous Queen Pin Griselda Blanco, also known as La Madrina, or the Godmother, rose to prominence in the early 1980s as one of the most formidable drug lords in Miami. But her story begins long before her reign of terror. Born in 1943, Griselda's life took a dark turn at an early age. Allegedly involved in kidnapping and murder as a child, she quickly learned the ways of the streets. But it wasn't until she entered the world of drug trafficking that she truly found her calling. It was her second husband, Alberto Bravo, who introduced Griselda to the lucrative cocaine trade. Together, they built an empire in New York, challenging the Italian mafia's dominance. But their success would not go unnoticed. Operation Banshee, the largest sting operation of its time, brought down Griselda and Alberto's operation. Blanco, however, managed to escape to Colombia, where she'd be known as the Godmother. Younger women under Griselda's command flew with cocaine hidden in their bras and underwear, evading authorities and fueling the Miami-based cocaine trade. Miami became Griselda's playground, and she raked in over $80 million monthly. But her luxurious lifestyle couldn't mask the violence and brutality that followed her activities. From shopping mall shootings to drive-by motorbike hit squads to home invasions, she instilled fear in the hearts of her enemies. Griselda was unlike any other criminal. She was more ruthless than the men involved in the drug trade, but her reign of terror eventually caught up with her. In 1985, at the age of 42, Griselda Blanco was finally arrested and sentenced to nearly 20 years in prison for narcotics trafficking. But her story didn't end there. Blanco's world took another devastating turn in 1994 when her trusted hitman, Jorge Ayala, became the star witness in a murder trial against her. The betrayal reportedly triggered a nervous breakdown for the Godmother. Ayala had enough evidence to secure her a seat in the electric chair, but Blanco had a plan. According to Charles Cosby, head of her cocaine trade and former lover, she slipped him a note with the cryptic message JFK5MNI. Perplexed, Cosby asked for an explanation. Blanco allegedly revealed that she wanted him to orchestrate the kidnapping of John F. Kennedy Jr. in New York and hold him hostage in exchange for her freedom. The kidnappers were promised a hefty $5 million reward. They cornered Kennedy while he was walking his dog, but their efforts were thwarted when an NYPD squad car passed by, scaring them off. Blanco avoided the death penalty and struck a plea bargain. In 2004, La Madrina was released and sent back to Colombia, but even with her stroke of luck, Blanco had amassed too many enemies to be welcomed home with open arms. In 2012, at the age of 69, Griselda Blanco met her brutal demise. Outside a butcher shop in Medellin, she was gunned down in a motorcycle drive-by shooting. shooting, mirroring the very same method she had pioneered years before. The identity of her assassin remains unknown, but what's interesting was that she died with a Netflix movie and a whopping $2 billion to her name. What other tales of intrigue and hidden fortunes lie within the depths of the crime world? Click on any of the cards on your screen and I'll take you on another tour to find out.